Hey, Jack.
Yo,
Good morning.
I suppose it is.
Well, in theory, the days are getting longer.
Yeah, they do feel like they're starting that, yes.
I'm not sure I feel it yet. But last night it got to be about 32 degrees Fahrenheit down here. Actually, that was the previous night. I think it was projected to be 32 again. It's not that cold in California, is it?
No. They-
Heiner, does it get down to 0 degrees in Berlin these days?
Yes, even overnight, -3, -5, we have blitz ice, which is like flash ice when it's raining, and then everything is like very slippy, and people fall, and we have a lot of accidents.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. I spun out one time on very slippery ice. And fortunately, it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was no other cars around. But I spun around in my SUV and was in the middle of an intersection when I finally stopped because of ice. But at least that time, no collision. Oh, there was one other time while I'm actually confessing my sins. There was one time I was driving on, I think it was 85, Jack. I was going north on 85 towards Cupertino, and I was getting off on an exit, and it was snowy and slushy and rainy, and I slid off the main highway. And my at that time there was a Honda S2000 spun around in the snow off the road and had to be towed out. And the scary thing was my daughter was with me at the time. Again, fortunately, I was in the left lane while it spun out, and it crossed 3 lanes of traffic without hitting anybody and onto the side of the road. And again, no collision, but I had to get towed out. So those are my
Snow
two.
in Cupertino. What a concept.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's my bad weather driving and bad driving confession for today. Eric, I
Yeah,
was saying
hi.
that it was about 32 degrees here last night. Heiner was saying it was about -5, -3 in
Yeah.
Berlin.
Mm.
And that's where we were until you joined. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, it's about freezing here in Delaware. Oh boy, that's scary.
I have to turn up my speakers because it sounds like your mic sensitivity is down low.
It might be, I let me see if I could adjust it because when you play online with musicians, they say you're too loud. So
All right. Heiner, glad to see you back. Missed you yesterday. Eric, glad to see you back.
that's
Let me start by checking in and then let other people. Actually, no, let me invite some check-ins and then I'll save my check-in for last.
Heiner can start by telling us what that thing is we're looking at. I think I recognize it.
That's not a Van de Graaff, is it?
No, it's moving. If you
It's
take
Yeah,
it's
but you can do that with
Tesla,
a Van de Graaff.
yes, but it's a Tesla ball or whatever you call it,
Hmm.
and it shows something. It's very hard to bring into words, but I can recommend it. I got it from some friends around the science museums, I think from the area of Barry in Boston, and we had a session all the creative people around science museums in the world. And this is my little memory. And when I don't show myself, as I have to work besides, I just give you the idea. I'm still like a magician, can move, can move things.
Is that portable? Is it battery powered, or do you have to plug it into the wall?
No, I have to plug it in, but it's possible to also have ones which have um, um, any kind of echo or battery.
Yeah.
It's a Tesla spoil. Maybe you check it out in the internet, and I think they are not so expensive, but it gives very nice music, and you can blow it up to the wall and make disco visualizations.
Okay.
So I'm in Berlin, Playboy, uh, putting a few things together, staying much at home, and survive Christmas.
So
So
no
a
Christmas
ball
gift?
that looks like the one you have is $70 at Walmart. There are versions that are as low as $19.
So stupid question. What can you do with one?
You can amuse your cat.
Economy depends upon people buying things that they don't really need.
That's why we love capitalism. And we're so good at demand generation.
Yep.
Not to need satisfaction, but demand generation. Okay. Thank you for checking in, Heiner. Anyone else? Jack? Eric?
Not much to say here. Heiner's still sharing his screen, so we can count the whiskers on his face.
Well, let me send it back to the gallery. Incidentally, write down the number of whiskers.
Yeah, gallery.
Okay. Eric, what's up?
Well, I was
Heiner is
here.
still sharing his screen.
I have
I,
defocused him, I thought.
you may have to switch back to gallery view on your own Zoom.
Ah, is that what you do?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
did change the default back to gallery view. No?
Um,
Okay. Oh, I have to remove the
there we
spotlight
are.
on Heiner. Okay, that's what I had to do.
That's it.
Ah,
And that is not available from the view menu. That I have to right click on Heiner directly to do. Curious.
Yep.
All right.
so think about how many things from Zoom have made it into our consciousness. that,
Now we're
far.
highlighting you, Eric.
Oh, thank you. Great. Yeah. So um, due to the death of somebody at my synagogue, my responsibilities have increased in terms of music. So I'm now doing choir and klezmer band and any other things that may come up musically. So, yeah, I had to remind people about a rehearsal next week, and just there's a lot to preparing the music. And Sam sent an article last week. It was nice to see what he learned as an orchestra conductor about project management. I read that, I liked it. Um, so, yeah, it's So the way I look at it, it makes my weekends more like work, and then I could use Monday and Tuesday like weekends. So exercise and do other stuff. Yeah. So it's a new rhythm for life, I guess. Yep, that's where I am.
Well, I'm actually curious. Had I not previously shared that blog with you before? Was that the first time you actually saw it?
You may have shared it a while ago. I just didn't remember it.
Okay,
Uh,
then I'm glad I reshared it.
yeah,
It was very short, and at the
yeah.
time, it was rather controversial,
Hmm.
but certain people liked it. What else happened, Eric?
Um, I've been watching some DVDs of a series, The Great Courses. So they have a professor who is from Baltimore who recorded a lot of lectures about um, that led up what led up to Broadway musicals. And it goes all the way back to minstrel shows and Tin Pan Alley. So it's interesting to learn about these time periods and what it's really reflects on the culture of each time period. And you learn about the music publishing industry, how sheet music was what people did. They had pianos and they all sat around the piano and sang songs. So how
They
we've changed.
used to call them salons
Yep.
and then saloons.
Hmm.
And there used to be this thing called chamber music.
Hmm.
And musicians used to be invited into people's homes to perform.
Hmm. What a concept. Hmm.
Actually, I suspect, and by the way, is the author still alive?
I haven't checked, but his name is Bill. Forget his last name. Messenger.
I
So
wonder if there's a volume two or three or next that would cover the further expansion or evolution into cinema, then into YouTube, then into TikTok.
yeah, well, it's technology that has always
Yeah,
been the triggering thing for the death of the old industries and the rise of the new ones.
yeah. Any other words before I jump in myself?
No, go ahead.
I'm going to give an update that is something I saw this morning. It's fresh in my mind and it blew my mind. My mind is actually blown right now. So I'm going to be incoherent because I just watched this. It's only about 10 or 20 minutes, not too long video about tea, specifically oolong tea.
Mhm.
Now, it turns out oolong tea is my mom's favorite tea. I, on the other hand, previously loved jasmine, and lately, for about the last decade and a half, maybe more, it's been pu'er tea. But I saw this video about oolong tea, and it's from the only person I've ever seen who says he's getting a PhD in tea biology or tea uh, chemistry. So he talked about how black tea is the same. By the way, there's this one tea plant, I forget what it's called, a very long Latin name. If any of you remember it, please offer that. But anyway, there's six different teas that are made from this tea plant. And I know I visited this tea place back in China back in 2005, so I should remember, but that was 20 years ago. And I haven't re-rutted those memories. But so anyway, black tea is the fully oxidized version of this dried leaf from this tea plant. And it turns out green is somewhere else on the spectrum, but oolong is 50% oxidated tea. It turns out that there is this thing called oolong bisflavin I could be, again, missing one or two syllables out of this thing. That this complex, organic ring compound, which has two scientifically validated, and it's actually in science papers. Hey, Kayla, I was just checking in.
Hey,
And I'm talking about tea. So I'm talking about oolong tea. And this guy who actually has been reading and studying, he's getting a PhD in tea, believe it or not, about the
interest.
chemistry and the biochemical effects of it. And he said that by the time the tea leaf is fully oxidized and turned into black tea, it no longer has any of these oolong bisflavins in it. These compounds have now either rejoined or are no longer as effective. But they had this study on leukemia, Jack. This is why it kind of jumped out at me. And said that it was able to bind with certain receptors to minimize the effects of leukemia when paired with garlic. Now, I can't make this up in a million years. Okay. I just saw this video and clearly I had to go study more.
Just
But
the
this
oolong,
definitely, what?
just the oolong tea that does that, or is it the
Well,
green
specifically
tea?
the oolong bisflavin, which is
Ah,
in oolong tea. So you can actually drink the tea and get the benefits of it. Or I'm sure some chemical company is going to go back and extract this and make it much more
yeah.
concentrated. But it's the oolong bisflavin, and I'll send a link to this video when I can. In fact, I'll do that in the next minutes after I shut up. But I thought, Jack, that was fascinating. And then there were two medical benefits. One was leukemia. The other was something else that was discussed before leukemia. But when leukemia popped up, I said, boy, I got to remember this. So now I got to give a caveat. This guy is himself trying to say, this tea is so good, buy this tea. And he's actually started this whole company to introduce this to the world. So it's called Woo Mountain Tea. So if you do at Woo Mountain Tea, that's him on all these different social media platforms. And so it could amount to nothing. I could be being baited right now, but no tea videos have ever showed up in my YouTube feed ever until this morning. I don't know how they know that much about me that I would actually watch it.
I don't know that it's unfounded. When I was doing leukemia, and that's almost 40 years ago, um, the tea came into my research space, very very large, and I read some articles on this essentially progenitor tea from which all of the teas are derived, and I kind of knew most of that story, but I didn't. At that time, there was nothing about combining oolong and garlic, because if I had found that, I would have tried it.
Yeah.
But I do remember trying oolong, and I couldn't stand it.
Uh, to me, it's not objectionable. It's actually got a pleasant flavor, just like all the other ones. But the garlic specifically was not helping with the actual benefit, but it was preventing something else from interfering. So there's something else, there's something called PDE5, and the garlic was to minimize the effects of that PDE5 so that the oolong benefit could actually express.
Yeah, so we didn't I didn't come across that literature. And maybe it didn't exist in the late 80s, early
No, it
90s.
didn't. It didn't. In fact, probably, I think the guy said this was only done in the last couple, it was done since 2000. For some reason, either 2007 or 2017,
Well, I
sticks
was
in my
already
mind.
free of the disease by then, so
Congratulations. Yes, so that's awesome. But I thought you might be mildly curious about this thing that I just
well,
picked up.
but it turns out that any tea is contraindicated for kidney failure.
Oh,
So
really? Interesting.
there's no benefit from tea for me now.
Because it's eliminated by something else?
I don't know. I don't recall the mechanism.
Interesting. So you've never been a tea drinker then, Jack?
Oh yeah, I used to love green tea all the time. That was a big favorite
Yeah, I drink that always at
until
Jefferson.
until the kidney disease, and then I had to stop.
Okay. Anyway, so I thought that would be interesting to check in. I have two other items, but Kayla, what's happened to you in the last 336 hours?
Uh, I just, you know, aftermath of Christmas, took my kids shopping, worked on a presentation, read a little bit of this book called Braiding Sweetgrass. Wonderful book, by the way. Amazing. I love when books kind of have a little bit of science and have a little bit of tradition, cultural tradition.
Hmm.
So, but that's it. Walk the dogs,
Could we
all
have
that
one
good
or two
stuff.
more paragraphs about the book?
What do you mean? Which paragraphs of
About
what?
braiding sweetgrass.
Uh, you want one or two more paragraphs without the book or
About the
about the
book.
book?
About the book.
Oh, okay. I
No,
was
no.
all without the book. What are you talking about?
I'm tired of hearing about the book, Kayla. Come on, talk about something else. No.
Well, it's this Native American woman, and she goes into, plants, talking about plants. And it's amazing how she talks about plants as if they are people. It's kind of a respect of living creatures. And she goes into not just like the benefits of plants, but she also goes into the, oh, what's that?
Something is
Something on
buzzing.
This,
Heiner's end.
okay. Okay. Well, she goes about like not only the properties of the plants, but she goes about how her particular cultural teachings have this type of respect for the actual um for nature, and gratitude. There's just like a bunch of stuff. I was actually going to go back through the book and start underlying things. I love how she breaks science down. What the difference between science and kind of what, how she learned. And then she talks about how she went into biology and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. It's beautiful. You should totally read it. You would love it. Any of you guys.
When was it written?
I believe just recently.
Interesting that these topics are dovetailing. The tea
Yeah.
and the braiding sweetgrass.
She's also a professor. She's also a teacher over in university. And what she says was really interesting. She said, she asked all of her students like what she thinks about what we're doing with nature. And almost every one of them talked about how we're destroying nature and humans are not good for nature and all that good stuff. And she actually goes, "Oh, I think that's terrible," because she has a different relationship with nature. And so that's like the premise of the book is our relationships and our being connected to one another. I think the way she describes it is absolutely beautiful.
Dare I bring up the removal of the EPA, or at least the defunding of it, and licenses, more and more licenses being granted to large corporations to destroy our national forests, build more roads, do more drilling. I'm not going to.
You guys could bring up whatever you want to bring up.
Hmm.
I've also been reading about neuroscience.
I like a
What aspect
podcast.
of it?
With neuroscience related. Um, it's a podcast by Mayim Bialik. She, yeah, she used to play the character Blossom on TV, and then grew up and got PhDs in neuroscience and does some interesting shows on her YouTube channel.
Oh, Blossom. I remember
Remember that?
Blossom.
Yep, way back when.
Wasn't
Yeah.
she also on that geek show
Probably.
with Sheldon?
Oh, probably. Yeah. That. What is it called?
I never watch it, but I
Oh,
believe she was on it.
she might have been on it. Yeah. So, what sparks your interest in neuroscience, Kayla?
How, we view life. Like, if you search for negative things, you'll find it.
Mhm.
Yeah, stuff like that. How attractive it is to be, um, you know, how attractive dissonance is. I don't know, just stuff like that, little bits here and there. It's difficult to get through that and get through reading this book and get through being a mom and get through trying to work and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, your brain's got a
Good
lot
food
going
for
on in
thought.
there. Yeah, you don't realize it, but you're reading.
Yeah. It does have a lot going on. I need to simplify it.
Yeah, I'm interested in the neuroscience connections with music.
Mm.
I think Oliver Sacks did some research on that.
Plato did some research on that.
Hmm.
Plato highly recommended music training. And by the way, so did the samurai. I think it's one of the 5 key skills you're supposed to learn as a samurai. I finished 2 books in the last 2, 3 weeks. One was on trading, not relevant for here, but the other one was Virginia Giuffre's book, Nobody's Girl. And she was the one who wrote a book about her experience as an Epstein survivor slash victim. Unfortunately, she's now dead. But I finished that book probably about maybe a week or two before these files started getting released. These so-called redacted files, which are, I guess, now unredacted. And even her book didn't insinuate as dark a situation as has come forth. I mean, she certainly talked about what happened. She was certainly raped. She was certainly trafficked. But the extent of the network, she only saw a slice of it, and more is coming to light. Anyway, that's one of the 2 books I finished so recently.
I finished Lessons in Chemistry. That one was a good book.
What was that about?
It was set, I think, in the 50s or something, about 2 scientists that fell in love with each other. Both of them were brilliant, but one of them was a woman, and she ended up facing these hardships, and um, yeah, just a very easy fiction peppered with some chemistry.
Wait, is that biographical or is that, you said it was fiction?
Yeah, fiction.
Okay, so not drawn from real life.
Well, it's not. I mean, um, I didn't look into all of the chemistry stuff, but that's pretty accurate. But yeah, it's not really um, like a based off of a real person. I don't think. they're turning it into a movie, or they did turn it into a movie. I think the woman who plays Captain Marvel um, stars in it.
You
See,
know,
it
the
might be.
older I get, the more I find out that many quote unquote famous scientists actually had their real discoveries being done by someone on their team, many times a woman, who ended up not getting credit for it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
The guy
Lisa.
that got some prize for discovering pulsars turned out a woman was the one who dug through all the data and said this is anomalous, and that's how pulsars were discovered.
Well,
And these are,
the argument was is that he was the scientist that could make out the mechanism for the pulsing. But yes, she clearly was should have gotten shared the Nobel with him.
yeah, yeah. And then, of course, the Watson and Crick story with Rosalind, what was her last name?
Franklin.
Franklin. Yeah.
Well, they might have given it to her, except she died. She got leukemia from the electron microscope she built that made the images that stole.
Are none of them given posthumously?
No, they do not. That's the point.
Really? Hmm.
Yeah, no, the big argument about Rosalind Franklin is she was denied the Nobel simply because she'd passed away.
I
I
get,
had to read all of the books on that when I was doing leukemia. I needed to understand what was going on in the world, and so I read a boatload of books, including Watson's own book, where he admits to taking the pictures and getting on a train and heading north because she was in France and he was in England.
Another one that comes to mind is Lisa Meitner, who worked on splitting the atom, and Otto Hahn is the her lab partner who took all the credit. But she got an element named after her eventually.
what was her name?
Lisa Meitner, Meitner, and element number 109 is called Meitnerium.
Doesn't Otto also have one?
Hahnium, yeah,
Yeah. No, that was named after me, by the way.
of course.
Well, at some
Another
point, I'm going to
thing,
muster up some resolve and tell you about an argument I had yesterday.
I just want to mention one more, Marie Curie. As I saw a movie, and it's fascinating all the work that she had to do to find radium.
But at
Because
least she got two Nobels.
yep,
She died young, didn't she, because of all the exposure?
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Didn't she have a husband or a partner who was also
Yeah,
in the field?
Pierre, yeah, Pierre. He also died young.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people died to give us the standard of living we have now.
I have to correct. I said that Rosalind Franklin built an electron microscope. No, it was an X-ray microscope. They didn't have electron microscopes in her day.
This sounded pretty early.
Well, I got my training on an electron microscope, so that's why I made the confusion.
Awesome. I never got that. I am not
Well,
licensed on an electron microscope.
I was taking a materials science PhD at University of Dayton, and I chose to take the electron microscopy course just to see how it worked, and ended up my final project for the class was to write a fourth program that could analyze the crystalline structure from the image. And that blew the teacher away. He
Back
and I
then,
became
that definitely sounds challenging back then.
it was, but it was fun.
Did you
You
have to
know,
create your own image processing libraries in fourth?
no, you just got the data in coordinates. And I swear I couldn't do it today. I mean, it's true that creativity does have a peak somewhere. And I think that my 40s and 50s or 40s were the peak of full-blown creativity. Today, I'm kind of lucky to be able to solve a simple equation.
I'm going to do a 30-second digression that's going to piss off Kayla. Kayla, sorry. This is going to be a little bit techy, okay? But just 30 seconds. Jack, Eric, I came across another video, a technical video, not pharmaceutical, that also blew my mind. Jack, what it showed me, it had a code, a very simple, like 10-line function, where part of that function was executing on a server. Part of that function was executing on the client, which is a browser, is in the same language, closure/closure script. And the entire structure, the entire library, the whole framework could understand where that code was being executed, and it could be passed seamlessly from one side to another side. Blew my mind. Sorry. Okay, so there's my 30 seconds. Okay. I have to reconstruct in my mind what this argument was yesterday. It was about politics, which again, people can say, no, 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 no more. I have to find it. It was on a Facebook thread. Sorry. Let me park that and go find it first. In the meantime, anybody else want to riff on any of the themes that we've already touched on? I'm gonna do a better job organizing this preparation. I have a lot of preparation from prior weeks, but not this one that I just did this past week.
That's okay. Even if you do have preparation, most people kind of, you know, digress from it.
Cats. Sam's trying to herd cats and it doesn't work.
My cat was outside this morning in 32-degree weather, and I was really annoyed.
Well, how did it feel?
Cat was fine, but someone had let the cat out in 32-degree weather. That was a problem. Okay. The first thing that pops up in my prepared long list, not the short list, which I was referring to, but in the long list, was I had a question to pose you guys. Some of you may think that I am a proponent of the scientific method. I am also a proponent of what I believe is the antithesis or the opposite of the scientific method. Let me explain that. So if you're looking at the world from a scientist's or a curious young person's perspective, and you take a look at something and say, that's an object, in the scientific frame of mind, that automatically stimulates almost an unending list of questions. You know, what is it? What does it do? Is it dangerous? Is it good for me? Can I pick it up? Blah, blah, blah. All kinds of things. Because that's the naturally curious mind. And that's the mind trying to help you survive. In other words, is it a threat? The very opposite of that thinking is see an object and just be completely serene. And I think the word that typically is applied to that is Zen. I'm actually a proponent of both frames of mind.
I don't have a problem with that. I've
Yeah,
been very interested in the merging of Eastern and Western thought, and
yeah.
it sounds like you're playing in that space.
There's one thing that really came to mind where, and I didn't say this, somebody else said this, somebody way smarter than me said something like, the mind is an excellent servant, but a horrible master. In other words, the mind serves the heart. I'm going to use that word for now. So if you have heart-driven living and your mind assists you in doing so, that's actually the mind playing a very good role in life. But if the mind, in its fear-driven mode, suppresses your heart because it's always focused on fear and threat, then that's a horrible way to live life. And that's what that quote means. And that's why I wanted to contrajuxtapose the scientific method, which to me, that's what the mind really is trying to execute, versus this, I am serene, I am one with all, I am not being threatened, I'm okay with whatever happens. That's Zen chill. And like Jack, I'm actually very comfortable with both. Because Tai Chi tries to teach you that Zen mode, but it also prepares you for reaction. Being chill, being serene doesn't mean you're inactive. You still live life. But you can act and decide and react without hesitation when you're chill, when you're Zen. I was hoping that would generate more discussion.
Thinking about how Barry would put it, where you have to balance the intuitive knowledge with the rational knowledge. So the heart side would be the intuition, and the rational, like it needs to be filtered through your rational thinking. So they're complementary.
That's interesting because I don't associate the intuition part with Zen,
Mhm.
me personally. Anyone else?
When I took a course in Tai Chi when I was at SRI, um, I recognized it as stand-up meditation. And then I met Sam and I were in Dubrovnik, and Sam was doing his Tai Chi warm-ups. And so I went out, stood on a rock by the ocean with him and did his warm-ups, but I didn't have the energy to do the whole rest of it that Sam was going to go off on. And there was some Finnish woman who was there also doing Tai Chi warm-ups or something like that. I forgot her name. Turned out she was actually an American that lived in Finland, something like that. She had an American passport. Um, do you remember her, Sam?
You're not talking about Kennen, are you?
No,
Kennen was Finnish, but she was American.
no. This was not Kenan. It was another girl that came out on the rock where we
Wait,
were,
wait,
and
are you talking about Ingela?
Ingela, yeah,
She was Norwegian.
Norwegian, yeah.
Yes. She was doing yoga, not Tai Chi.
She was doing yoga. That's right.
Can I say something embarrassing about you with Ingela? I've already done it, huh? Sorry. Okay, I won't say it.
No, I'm curious. What was it?
Uh, I think you had told me that uh, had you not been married, I think she was the perfect woman.
And I probably did say that, and I might have even said it to her.
Oh,
And
awesome. I'm proud of
and
you.
and no, and she said, well, um, she wasn't available.
Ah,
That's a long time ago.
I think that was 2012.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, either 2012 or 2014.
It would have been 2014. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Zen slash Tai Chi story on the beach.
Well, what I find interesting is like in Douglas Hofstadter's books, he mentions Zen koans and he uses that to make points about the mathematics that he's talking about. So there is some complement there. And those Zen koans are very interesting, just the contradictions that they bring up. Does a dog have Buddha nature, or things like that? If you answer yes or no, you lose your own Buddha nature. That's the one I remember. Yeah, so they're puzzles that make you comfortable with contradictions.
You know, people in the West make a much bigger deal about it than I believe it is because there's enough generality and ambiguity in most Asian sentences, or at least what I know. The balancing those multiple nuances and multiple meanings is just a standard way of conversing.
Mhm.
But I guess in the US, you're trying to be as specific as possible that these opportunities to see these two seemingly contradictory ideas seems like a surprise slash an insight slash a special moment. I could be minimizing the koan idea, but to me, it's much more common to be thinking that way in Asian languages. That's the way I understand it.
So, do you think that's to do with the way children are trained and brought up and taught in school? That difference?
Yeah, because when you learn the language, yeah, you do understand that there's multiple nuances, multiple meanings. Like, for example, the notion of tense is not present in Chinese. You have to actually say in this time period or in the past. You can't use a verb to actually indicate tense, past tense,
Mm.
present tense, future tense.
One of the languages I got slightly familiar with in Mali was Bambara, and they had no way of talking about tomorrow. There was no future tense.
That's quite wonderful in some ways.
Well, it meant that they didn't even have refrigerators. Now the USAID, the Peace Corps volunteer who shepherded us on that trip, did have a refrigerator, and they didn't understand it. They didn't have the words to talk about storing food for tomorrow.
Maybe the notion of a future is privilege.
Now think about how many people are saving up for their future retirement or whatever,
But it's
and
a
all.
privilege to be able to do that compared to some people who only are trying to survive today.
Yep.
That's the point. These people were living in the now and only in the now.
Yeah.
In that village, by the time a son was 5 years old, he was on his dad's fishing boat
He was
on the
what?
Niger River. He was in his on his father's fishing boat. And by the time he was age 9, he had his own boat.
Right.
And
So
the,
in
and
the
the
US, we would think, oh, that's abusing children. That's child labor.
well, but it's what they had to do. You were looking at humanity in its post caveman days. Now the Peace Corps volunteer introduced to them growing a crop of onions when the Niger River would recede during the summer. There was this really fertile land that was just sitting there, and they didn't know what to do with it. So he had them plant onions, and then they could barter the onions for things that they needed. But that included the fact that he was forcing them to think about tomorrow, even though it wasn't in their vocabulary.
Vocabularies can grow, though, right?
Well, they also were spoke Arabic. So in Arabic, they could go anywhere. But in Bambara, which was the only tongue that I saw them use, um, I was taught how to be very polite to the village elder every day and ask him how's wife one and how's wife two and how's wife three, and then giggle when he talked, and that was all I knew, and I can't even remember how I did that.
Anyway, I think we digressed. Jack, were you done telling the story about Tai Chi conversation on the beach in Dubrovnik?
Yep, and I'm about to leave.
Huh. I forget the punchline then. Was there a punchline?
No, there wasn't a punchline. I don't know if you were there the year that somebody came to Dubrovnik and led Tai Chi. And Dino, being a high Dan black a Tai Chi guy, he used to go off to somewhere in Thailand to a monastery, a retreat, and do Tai Chi for a week or a month at a time. He was in the front row of that group, and I was in the back row. And I don't remember if you were there or not.
I was not there. Dino did Qigong, not Tai Chi. He did Shangyang Qigong.
Um, Maybe that's true, but what she did with qigong, maybe she did qigong. I thought it was tai chi, so I just stood there and played along. At any rate, I must leave.
Hey, good
Later,
seeing you,
Jack.
Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Bye bye.
So the Tai Chi that I learned was the Yang style. So there are several different schools and styles that you're familiar with.
Yes, five major styles. Yang is the first to become publicly known
Okay.
because he was basically looking over the wall of the Chen village, stealing the moves and the learnings because the village wouldn't teach outsiders.
Nice.
But Yang was the guy that tried to do it and really wanted to learn, so eventually they taught him. But they originally kept it secret and only internal to that region. But Yang decided to teach the world. That's why Yang style Tai Chi is the most populous version of Tai Chi,
Yeah.
even though he basically extracted it from Chen and Jiaobao.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there are three other derivatives of Yang style Tai Chi, but they're all based on Yang style, which was based on Chen style. And then there's this other style called Jiaobao Tai Chi. So I got my start in Yang style, but I now practice the Jiaobao Tai Chi.
Cool. Yeah, I find it interesting how you have the meditative movements, but then there is logic behind it if it was used in a martial arts situation or if you're being attacked. And then there are schools where they actually simulate the fighting. And so it's pretty cool to learn that intellectually. Actually doing it is a different story. I could follow a teacher and do the exercises, but not on my own.
There are martial applications of Tai Chi, and there is a Tai Chi competition in China every year or two, I think. And in fact, the reason Jiaobao Tai Chi became famous is because in the 90s, twice in a row, the champion was from Jiaobao Tai Chi, and nobody had ever heard of Jiaobao Tai Chi.
Mm,
Previously, it was only Chen, Yang, and all these other Wu, etc., Sun. But 2 years in a row, when Jiaobao Tai Chi practitioner won that national competition, and China is a big place, okay? That's when everybody said, "What is this Jiaobao Tai Chi?" And
mm,
that's when it started being in high demand.
yep.
And both Jiaobao and Chen have martial applications. They have strikes, they have elbow strikes, they have kicks, they have, other, in fact, they have locks and they have bone breaking, okay?
Uh-oh.
But Yang style does not,
Hmm.
because Yang is primarily promoted to the West as a health exercise.
Right.
So it does not concentrate on those martial applications. But my instructor in Cupertino, his mission, because he was sent to the US, okay, to teach Jiaobao eventually, his mission was to train a new generation of Tai Chi practitioners who could go into the UFC, who could go in and, fight with MMA in the octagon and prove that Tai Chi was effective. He
Mm,
hasn't done that yet, but that was his mission.
okay.
Okay. However, he's partially done it because he went to various different places to do demonstrations and invite students to learn. One of the places was, I believe, an army base in Alameda, California, right close to Oakland, California. And one of his demonstrations was he would get on the floor, put his hands on his chest, he was prone, and he would invite, two or three 220-pound, 250-pound, enlisted personnel, soldiers, to keep him from getting up
Mm,
and from becoming free. So he would stay in this position, and every single time he got free.
hmm.
Okay. Also, he did these standing competitions and tried to see if anybody could take him down.
Yep.
They didn't take him down.
Hmm.
And now uh he has a standing $100,000 contract that if anybody wants to challenge him, they first have to put up a $100,000 cash amount in escrow because otherwise he didn't want to be responsible for the medical damage.
Hmm.
because Tai Chi really is a martial art.
Yep.
That's the thing that he was
Yep.
teaching people. So anyway, Yang style is typically the place that most people get their start. I did as well. Okay. And I learned, by the way, did you learn the 108 or 105 move form?
No, mine went to like 24
Yeah,
moves.
24 is the first form you learn. And then the full form is 108, I believe it is. And it takes about 25 to 30 minutes to do it all if you actually
Hmm.
do the entire thing.
Yep.
And a good practice is to do it 3 times at least, along with warm-ups. So that takes a couple hours. So I didn't keep that up, unfortunately. Back then I had a job. Anyway, sorry to go on that digression.
I think these are all good digressions for us. All the
I'm,
digressions are they fit in somehow.
I'm pretty sure Kayla has heard it, but Eric, have you heard the only time in my life where I've actually had to use Tai Chi?
No.
Do you guys mind if I tell the story again?
Yeah, go for it.
This is probably over 10 years ago. I and two friends, John Degenhart and what was the other guy? Two friends, uh, Mike Hewitt, went to a Stanford Cardinal football game. It was at I think they were playing maybe in Berkeley or no, I think it was a Stanford. I forget what stadium they were in. But we got last minute tickets, which meant we were way up in the top row, way in the back, behind one of the goal the zones. And clearly people do a lot of drinking at football games. And about 30 or 40 feet away, there's some guy who obviously had been drinking a lot and just getting into people's faces and saying, loud things and,
Yep.
distracting people and just getting in people's faces. And I think he was trying to pick a fight, with people. Most people were pretty well controlled, but they just tried to, ignore him. But he kept working his way closer and closer and closer and closer. So eventually it was in front of me and yelling in my face. And I asked him to, step back. And after he didn't, there's this move in Tai Chi called circle hands like clouds.
Yeah.
Very circular move, okay?
Yep.
Without even thinking, and this is the part that surprised me, okay, is I put my right palm on his right outside of his wrist,
Okay.
and I put my left palm on the outside of his right elbow.
Okay.
And by doing so, I could actually straighten his arm. And now, if he tried to turn toward me or come back or bend his arm, it's very easy. It's very light pressure on his wrist and his elbow. And if he really struggled, he would have broken his arm.
Oh boy.
So if you can keep the fellow's arm straight,
Uh-huh.
you can actually guide him very gently away from where you've been.
Yep.
So I took him, 10 feet away. And he tried to turn, he tried to struggle, but it's very easy to control someone in that position. I was really surprised. I didn't think of this. It was just a natural reaction to having done circle hands like clouds hundreds or thousands of times, and it just
Right.
came very naturally. And then then I said, okay, so once we were about 10, 12 feet away, I let him go. And he tried to turn back and he saw that I was still looking at him, and then he walked away.
And
So I
that's
didn't
the
have to
way.
throw him. I didn't have to trip him. I didn't have to kick him. I didn't have to hurt him in any way. But at least I got rid of him.
That's amazing.
And that's the only time I've ever consciously thought, wow, that was applied Tai Chi.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lesson in that.
And it's not like this is a scenario that we practice in practice. It's not.
No, that's using the energy uh, properly.
Yeah. So that surprised me. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have as deep an appreciation for Tai Chi as I do.
Hmm.
Because everything in Tai Chi is circles. When you think about moving in circles, you think about people moving in circles. When you look at someone, you can actually see the circles that they're capable of moving in, turns out.
That reminds me, cows also move in circles. Temple Grandin designed the ramps that the cows go on.
Ah,
Yeah. So
hmm. Yeah. And sorry for those who've heard that. I know I've told that story before, but if you haven't, then thanks for those who let me tell that story again.
so how can we apply that to the world's problems? By moving in circles and deflecting the arrows
I think
towards
we
the
are moving in circles.
Yeah, in a different way than was mentioned. Ay, ay, ay. Ay.
well, you get a full view as you move in a circle. You see all the things going on.
Anyway, sad to say, Stanford lost that game.
No.
It was Andrew Luck's freshman year, and that was the last game he ever played at Stanford because he turned pro, I think, right after that, unfortunately. Well, did he? No, wait. I think he stayed because I went to at least two bowl games where Andrew Luck was the quarterback. Yeah, I think he stayed. He stayed. Sorry, I got that wrong. He's now he's now retired from football. He got too many injuries, and he's now I guess director of football at Stanford University. Anyway, sorry for that digression. Last week, Eric, if you and Jack remember, I know Jack's gone, but Kayla, this is kind of the recap. I had brought up the project 2028, which was kind of like an enlightened or progressive or liberal or, left-leaning response to Project 2025, which is being executed in full view today. And when I went through that list, it was a pretty good list. I thought it was a pretty good list, but it was missing a key element. And I wanted to bring that up, and I think we ran out of time, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you recall that?
I don't remember which element, but go ahead and remind us.
Well, it's not going to surprise you because I've ranted about it many times. I think that a lot of people who think about what we need to do politically don't identify this as one of the key elements. And to me, it's the key element. And that is education needs to be thoroughly transformed.
Mhm.
And we need to build society around education, even more so than around justice. Because in my opinion, if you build around education well enough, justice will emerge. But you can't justice people into being smart. But you can educate people, and then they become just.
Yes, let's look at examples around the world where they did that. I'm thinking Japan and Korea. Um,
Well, yesterday I tossed out the little graphic that you also saw. It was very controversial, right? It's from Geo Simplified. It was a little graphic of the world's smartest countries.
yeah,
Remember that one?
right.
Kayla, I don't think you were here. I forget. Was Heiner here yesterday? Probably not. Yeah. So South Korea, China, Taiwan were all identified in the top 3 or 4 or 5. I think Malaysia was up there. Russia, surprisingly, was up there.
Yeah. So, what's the secret of a good education system and the culture that supports it?
But I think Finland should have been up there.
Hmm.
Finland
I
knows
think
how
you
to.
just said it, a culture that supports it.
Yes, yes.
It's here in the United States, the way we think is way too individualistic. We don't have any
Yeah.
acceptance of one another.
Not
So
only
our
that,
values are not aligned to be sustainable at all, and we're seeing the effects of it. So It's too bad. Like I listened to you talk about like science versus um, meditation, and science can be complementary to almost everything. But if
Bingo.
you think about just connection itself, lots of things can complement lots of things.
Yes.
And it's too bad that we don't really value that here in the United States
Right. Right.
and most people in general. So a lot of a lot of the things that we tend to do, specifically in our culture, is just dissect and stand apart and see it from this micro view, which has its uses, but we don't really see. Um, we are very worldly to accept other viewpoints of it. Including language, which you guys were talking about too. You know, there are such as I think Sam, you were saying that there's a language that doesn't have tenses. There's a language that speaks mostly in verbs. English I think is only 30% verbs, but other languages are like 70% verbs. And that has, again, like you said, um, an idea of how you perceive things in life. And if you think about English as the primary language of that, it also complements, unfortunately, the individualistic society that the United States is quite in. We see a lot of things as objects as opposed to something that's living, as opposed to animacy. So until we've got, people who can somehow, some way transform our way of thinking, then it's very difficult to transform these institutions like education. And that's something that really has to be taught at home. And unfortunately, with this culture, it's might be a long time before we see that.
You said a mouthful, Kayla.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, Eric, there's been a lot in my mind. There's a lot that goes through my mind.
Yep. So the question is, what seeds can we plant that will grow into that future, if there is a future?
That's a garden.
Yeah. Well,
And in that garden in the West, I feel that we weed out old people.
Yeah, we do. I'm guilty of that. There's just too much attention to new ideas and new things that people tend to forget that tradition and culture lies from the people who are older and who have the wisdom of life. I think it is what seeds discontent with a lot of older people.
Yeah, older people are
That's
discarded.
why
Sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say that's why I like the Polynesian culture and other cultures who have, these generations living amongst each other, to teach that circle of, life, if you will. I think it's brilliant. The older people teach the younger people and, the adults in the middle that they can experience life and work. I was privileged to see that as a young woman, and I just see how beautifully it just works.
Well, let me ask you all here. How many of you have friends who grew up in multi-generational households?
I kind of grew up in a multi-generational household, but it didn't work as beautifully as the Polynesians. Thankfully, I've had lots of experience in that, lots of friends, but you know, not too many Americans.
Yeah. I'm not
Even
just
in
asking
Costa
about you
Rica,
guys. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you said something about Costa Rica.
Yeah, even when I was living in Costa Rica, that was multi-generational. I mean, it kind of had to be because of the poverty situation, but you know,
Now, I was close with my grandparents, and for a while they were living in our house towards the later years when they needed help. Um, so I saw that, but I don't think my friends had anything like that.
Yeah, me too. I grew up in a multi-generational household in Taiwan, but not in the US. Well, my grandmother lived with us for a few years, but we couldn't really say that that was a true multi-generational household. And none of my other friends, I don't remember a single one where there were three generations living in the same household. In fact, is it true that most of the time in the US, we only see multi-generational households around Thanksgiving and Christmas when people visit?
Possibly.
that's a party. It's not a household.
That's a party, not a household, exactly. And some people dread those those holidays.
Fuck yeah, man. Sometimes I try to think like, what is the purpose of having certain people here? Like, why are they here?
And what was your answer?
You know, it's like I cannot stand when people, oh, I'm obligated to invite them. No, you're not. You can make a choice. There's no obligation whatsoever.
And it could be like certain celebrations where the generations come together. So, like yesterday, I was digitizing a videotape of my nephew's bar mitzvah, and this is only 2003, but still, you could see the ceremony acknowledging the generations, and the kid had a great grandfather who was there. So these certain life cycle events bring the generations together, but it depends on the culture and the values of the family for that to happen.
When I was young in Taiwan, I remember my parents weren't around very much, but had all my uncles and aunts and my grandparents to run to and cousins. So it wasn't like I was abandoned. I was interacting with a lot of other people.
Yeah, you had the extended family, and that concept these days, I mean, the family has been broken for decades, and that's the key. How do you restore that? So without that foundation, how do the kids have a hope of education and values?
Mhm.
If the community is broken. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so much of what kids take from the culture and from the community is, oh, those kids are popular. I want to be popular. I want to do what they do. I want to buy what they buy. I want to wear what they wear. I want to have my hair look the way they have their hair looking. I want to play sports like they play sports.
See, that is a sense of belonging, though, that kids have, naturally. I think humans just have that natural sense of belonging,
Yes,
but we're channeling it in not such a healthy way, you know.
because we,
Um,
yeah.
like I said, we value too much individuality, and it. I recognize that in myself. I value my independence, but I do see that as somewhat of a fault. I enjoy living by myself and I enjoy being by myself. Like I could do nothing and it's amazing. Actually, I shouldn't say nothing because I do lots of stuff, but the one thing that I could do better is connect with people. And I've been this past week, I've actually been telling my older son a lot of stories about our family, the good parts of our family, not the toxic parts. Um, and it's been nice to be able to pass that on and talk about like the benefits of growing up in a big family. And at one point, we actually liked each other. So it's healthy to be able to express that for myself, and it's also nice to be able to say that he comes from that line, and we can continue that type of tradition. It doesn't have to be toxic like it was. It could actually be like a good supportive, way of connecting and communing with one another. And that's what I think that lots of young people really need. Like they really look for that. They really do. You know, and it's too bad that we've got to grow up in this type of society that just um, focuses more on individuals, so everybody's kind of out for themselves. I mean, you know, honestly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of cultures such as ours, like Asian cultures, they kind of buy into that because they understand that, that's kind of how to survive, right? This world survives on currency. So the best way to do it is to, be a doctor, get the highest paying job and everything. And so, like, in valuing that, then we just kind of break away from our traditions to chase that. So it's almost kind of like um, we're shit out of luck either way sometimes. In two play, it's culture and capitalism. And it's really interesting because my son thinks it's just capitalism. Like I told him, I think billionaires are mentally ill. And he goes, I think it's just capitalism. And so it's really interesting hearing him say that because, yeah, I guess if you took capitalism out of the equation, would they be mentally ill? Anyway, lots on my mind.
I'm curious how he got to that perspective. Had he heard you speaking? Was he having conversations with his friends? Was he picking
I
up
have
any
no
of that in
idea.
school?
I'm sure he picked it up somehow, some way, but he's also been very logical. I was talking to him about that too. I'm like, how did you get so logical? Like, why? How are you this way? Like, naturally. There is natural logic running through that boy's veins. I mean, he is smart as they come. I see Max struggle academically, but Damien knows how to focus. Damien understands logic, and so he could piece that together. Max's brain is wired in a different way, you know.
Hmm.
But I don't really see too many people with that sense of logic that Damien has.
Well, the
But at the
brain is
same time,
capable.
oh, sorry, I was just going to finish. At the same time, I did tell him that the thing that I worry about him is his emotional intelligence. And we did have a healthy conversation about that because he tried, of course, to say, well, emotional intelligence. He at first downplayed it. And I'm like, you need emotional intelligence. And so I gave him examples of why we need it. And he was like, yeah, yeah. He goes, oh, you don't worry about me. And I'm all like, yeah, I do. So I'm sorry,
So
Sam, what were you going to say?
No, I'm the one who interrupted you. I'm the one who's sorry, but my question and my curiosity is a brain can be very capable of being logical, but it still responds to what it's being fed and what it perceives. So I was just curious what his sources were and what he was paying attention to, whether it was news, whether it was social media, whether it was his friends, whether it was you, whether it was teachers, whether it was books. I was just curious where he was getting some of this food for thought.
One thing I've noticed about him too is he's very quiet. He knows how to shut the fuck up. It is beautiful. Like, it's unnerving. I jokingly told him that I said, hey, just the FYI, because you're quiet, you're going to make women nervous. Lots of women don't like it when a guy is quiet. People don't like it when other people are quiet. Actually, I shouldn't say that because men love it when women are quiet. But he is quiet and he lets everybody else fucking talk. And it's so funny because I said, "Why are you that way?" And he goes, "Well, what did he say? Um, he said, I really just try to stay out of everybody's business." I like to stay out of people's business. I thought that was so cool. I've never heard somebody say it like that, but yeah.
And he's what? Let me see. He's 18,
17.
17.
He's gonna be 18 next year, which is in a few days. But no, he won't be 18 in a few days. He'll be 18 in April. He's an Aries. He's a fire sign, just like his mom.
Silence is power.
I think the silent type and the thinking people, that is a certain personality type, and um, we just have to learn to flex our personality style in different situations. I mean, I value listening and understanding and thinking before I'll just blurt things out. But I've learned
Right.
learned how to blurt a little bit here and there.
I was always quiet, and I've heard um, that a lot of people found, well, men in particular, found it very intimidating. That was the general consensus. They're just like, "This, you're really intimidating." I'm like,
I
"Oh."
would avoid generalizations like men are this way, women do this. I would just go with the flow. So the world needs more mothers like Kayla,
Well, that's right.
right?
I'm just kidding.
That's our conclusion.
The Republicans would misconstrue that statement.
I did hear something that was like, I need to work on this big time because I'm very guilty of it. I did hear that, if you're raising a boy, you might not want to talk crap about men, which is the truth. I'm very guilty of that, you know. Um,
Yeah, they'll pick
and
it up.
it's true.
And,
Yeah, I don't want my kids seeing their self worth as like, oh yeah, my mom, whom I love, hates men. I don't want them to think that, so I gotta mind myself. Oh, Heiner's gone. He's like, fuck her. Just kidding.
He's ahead of us in time, so he'll see the new year before we do.
He's like, God, this is boring.
Yeah. But why
Oh
should the new
boy.
year be such a special time? People really make it so special. It's just another day. It's,
Right?
people make all their
Unless you're Asian.
ah.
But that's not January 1 for Asians.
Time really doesn't, the concept of time really is something that humans made up.
Yeah, it's cultural convention.
Yeah, it goes.
Well, wasn't it?
I think
Go
the
ahead.
Egyptians needed it in order to figure out when to plant,
Exactly.
timing the flooding of the Nile, so they know when to plant. Otherwise, we,
Yeah.
we were happy and not knowing what time it was. It was
So
really
it
the
didn't start
railroad. Yeah,
until we became agriculture focused.
that's what I've
Yeah.
heard.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
the major thing with the calendar, and then the time was when the ships needed accurate clocks in order to determine longitude. That really triggered the growth of timekeeping.
Not like some caveman woke up one day and say, "It's hunting time."
Well, you had
Well, yeah,
sundial.
people were more in tune to they were more in tune to the seasons that was like their time per se. You know, I'm pretty sure when people learned how to count, that when they started to develop some type of record keeping moments. But to this day, I mean, Native Americans, um, indigenous people know, that every couple of 100 years or whatever, certain plains will flood. I mean, some of it too is like common sense. Like if you live in, you know, if you live in plains, you could almost guarantee them to flood. So why live in them? So, hey,
So how many of you read? I think it was Even Cowgirls Get the Blues.
Yep, I read that.
Does this mean something to you?
I don't remember the reference.
If I remember correctly, the main character
Oh,
had a
hitchhiking. Yeah.
huge thumb,
Yes.
huge thumb, right?
Yeah,
But one of the
hitchhiking.
other things that was mentioned was they're talking about how these people had a different concept of time.
Mm,
Time was what happened. And if something happened, then that was a different time. And it's not like they were counting seconds or minutes. It's just time was measured in events.
right. It was actually Ted Nelson's writing that got me to watch that
Oh,
movie.
really?
Yeah, he mentions that book.
I remember looking at a blue paperback with like an old style car and a girl in a cowboy hat thumbing a ride with a huge thumb. That was the
Yep.
cover of the book.
Hmm.
Well, I found the controversial thing where somebody was trying to argue with me, but it's kind of sensitive. So I'm not sure whether to bring it up.
Yeah, you don't have to if it's too sensitive.
Okay, I'll leave it then.
Hmm.
Not sensitive to me personally, but just potentially controversial.
Right.
Maybe I'll do it one-on-one and see how that goes over with each of you, potentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be like starting in January. I'll be busy on Sundays definitely for a few months, and then we'll see from there.
That's right. You've got a bunch of new responsibilities.
Yep.
Uh-oh. What are you doing?
Oh, it's music for the synagogue.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
taking over the choir, and now we're doing a Purim play, so I have to be there every Sunday for a rehearsal for the play. I'm doing the piano parts.
Are you also occupied on Saturdays?
It depends. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Sounds like a big new responsibility.
Yeah, I'll drop in here once in a while.
That would be awesome.
Hmm.
Hmm. I guess before I sign off, I will say, I might have said this before you got here, Kayla, and that is, even though I was aware of some level of depravity in, I'm calling them turd dump now, by the way, the news that's coming out indicates that this network and how extensive it was and how many people were trafficked and how much power was abused and how many children were killed and not just victimized was even beyond what I thought. And we still haven't seen all of these records. Did you guys read about the 13 or 14-year-old who got impregnated and they killed the baby and threw the baby off the side of a yacht in Lake Michigan? And oh, by the way, Trump had a yacht moored in Lake Michigan. So it was probably off of Trump's yacht. So when Trump was talking about post-birth abortions, I think he had firsthand experience with it. I thought he was evil. The level of evil is beyond what I even thought last week. I had to say that because all the stuff that came out this week, and it's not even all out yet. I mean, I have to even say, and pardon me for, slinging this at Israel, but Israel let off this Israeli army officer who fired the entire magazine of his automatic rifle into a 13-year-old Palestinian girl, and then said he would even have done the same thing if she had been 3 years old. And she was acquitted on all charges by an Israeli military court. I'm trying to suppress my rage.
Well, you're gonna have to tell me all about it. If I get this job, I might actually kind of sign off of Facebook. Um, you know, I might do this experiment of not being on social media as much, or at least start with Facebook, you know what I mean? Because
But
I'm in charge of the Facebook page for my current job, United
Right.
Parents.
Mhm.
And I, if I get this new job, then they have somebody in marketing, so I don't have to be a part of that whole thing. I could just, stay off of it. it's depressing to me. Like I don't like to see um all of this fighting, you know what I mean? It's um I know it's necessary to expose certain things, but for the most part I don't want to be a part of it anymore, you know? Like it sucks. Like there was a post from no, there was like a news article from Ventura County Star talking about our president, and Ventura County is mostly Republican. Um, and so I thought that was really bold for them to actually write something that was, you know, kind of something that just expressed they weren't so happy with our current administration. And just to see the comments that people leave is disgusting to me. It really is. And it's gotten me like, I'm like, I can't anymore. You know, and some people are my supposed friends, and I just don't have the heart to just abandon people. And I don't know. I don't know if that's standing up for myself. I don't know, or not standing up for myself. I don't know if it's like protecting my peace or not protecting my peace. I don't know if it's even worth my time. And so I've concluded that the best thing I could do is just kind of stay off of social media. You know, if I want to succeed in the ways that I want to succeed, which is to keep my kids safe and keep a level of peace and have my brain intact and my heart intact, then I need to start chipping away for things that kind of don't serve me anymore. So, Sam, you're going to have plenty of time to tell me all about your rage because I don't mind that source. If it comes from somebody personal, great. If it comes from like a bunch of strangers that I don't know, like, you know, unless you're on the other side of suffering, unless you're suffering from the hands of, I don't know, liberals, you know, then I kind of want to hear it. But otherwise, I don't want to hear how many jackasses we've got in this world because it's starting to like make me physically ill.
Yeah, we each need to manage our exposure to whatever's out there. So you could dip
Yeah.
in once in a while just to see what's news and get out. Take care of yourself first.
I'd rather go on TikTok.
Yeah, do some dancing on TikTok. There you go.
They don't show you the fucking comments on TikTok. Well, you can look at it if you want.
Here's to a better 2026, and see what we could do
I
with it.
know. No. Sadly, I'll always remember this year.
Yep.
You know, another category of things that's appeared in my YouTube feed are these long tracks of African songs.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite soothing.
Mm-hmm.
I play them for hours after I get tired of all the Trump stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are they mostly percussion based or
A lot of them do incorporate percussion, but it's more melodic than just percussion. I'll send a few of those tracks around because I don't know, these may be targeted me, but I still like them.
Yeah, I got into like Lady Smith, Black Mambazo a while ago when Paul Simon worked with them in Graceland.
That was an amazing album.
Yes,
That was a collaboration you didn't see coming.
right.
And
He,
he
he opened up,
incorporated it well.
yeah, many different cultures he just brought
Yeah.
together.
And he even went on tour with them.
Yep,
And people saw dancing they'd never seen before.
Yeah, and the harmonies, it was amazing.
Yeah, as far as pop culture music goes, that's one of the best albums. Every time people say what's a good album to listen to end to end, I do recommend that album. Graceland is a great album.
And that was 1986.
I still have at least multiple copies, but I also obviously have it on digital now.
Right. Yeah, so maybe we could get back to that state of mind, the world, eventually. The
Yeah,
seeds are planted.
diamonds on the.
Yeah, Sergio Mendes did a similar one with various hip hop artists. That was a beautiful track too. That was in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
So music is the answer to unite people and get us back on track to
It's
start.
part of what Tesla said also. Pay
Hmm.
attention to frequency.
Ah, smart.
Pay
So
attention to
on,
waves.
mhm. So on that note, thanks.
By the way, what's the weather like in you guys' area?
It's close to freezing.
It got to 32 last night and the previous night, Fahrenheit, which is zero in
ooh,
Heiner's language, Celsius. Yeah, it got to freezing.
ooh. No snow, just
For
ice.
like 3.5 seconds, it looked like it might have snowed, but though just that one particular 3.5 second sequence didn't stick.
Yeah, be thankful for the good days.
How
In
about you,
fact, yeah,
Eric?
before you got here, we were talking about slipping and sliding on black ice and icy roads.
Yeah. Um, Yesterday, the that night we had freezing rain, but then it melted during the day. So, and it's just around freezing now.
I like it when it's bright and brisk, like when the sun's out and it's
Yeah.
cold.
Hmm.
Man, that's a freshness, that's an aliveness that I really look forward to.
Yeah, that's good.
Hmm.
It's different when it's foggy and icy and cold,
Hmm.
but when it's clear and sunny and icy and cold, it's man, it really sends that fresh air right up your nose.
Yep.
Well, it's been raining here. We had a lot of flooding,
Ooh,
as we're warned. Thankfully, I'm in an area where the flooding doesn't really affect me unless somebody puts a mattress in the gutter system somewhere. But but yeah, it was quite rainy here. Unfortunately, it wasn't cold enough to put snow in the mountains, and so there were a lot of it activated certain mudslides too.
did you have any power outage in your area?
Not in my area, but there were power outages near me. Thankfully, mine I wasn't affected.
You would think in civilization it happens less, but even in San Francisco, where my son lives, I think they were out of power for like half a day earlier this week,
Yeah.
maybe the better part of the day.
Only my huskies enjoyed it. They only they enjoy the cold. It sucks because I turn on the heat and then I have to open the door because like they want to go outside. Ah, they're staring.
Well, since we're talking about the weather, I just glanced to my left where I have a Facebook feed and it says, "Hello, friends. This is Satan. I'm here to remind you that plagues, great floods, and pandemics are God's department. I just do orgies and metal bands."
Don't believe him. He's lying.
Who is he?
is lying. Does he have pronouns?
Actually, I don't know this. In Judaism, is there
Yeah,
Satan?
there's the concept. Um, I forget. Yeah, there's a the equivalent. It's not as advertised as, but it's there.
Does he have a tail?
Uh, you have to ask the rabbis. Uh,
Another thing that's been popping up in my feed recently is some counter advice to pop psychology. The thesis is that a lot of pop psychology in the last 2 decades has been telling people, oh, your parents are toxic, you need to heal, you need to distance yourself from your parents, you need to just strike out on your own. And this is the first voice I've seen that says that's just creating more distance. That's not providing any opportunity for healing. And
Yeah,
it's so
I've heard something
refreshing
like
to
that
hear that.
too. Yeah.
but the problem is AI has been trained on those 2 decades. So all your AI psychologists are gonna give that advice now.
Yeah, yeah. But this new person, I gotta find out what her name is. I think her first name begins with A. She's like a breath of fresh air on
Is
this.
she a black woman?
No,
Okay.
if you're interested, I find her link.
There's a black woman that I follow that kind of challenges mental health, which is really nice. Um, was it you I was talking to? I forgot who I was talking to. Where it's kind of like just don't get stuck in that narrative. Don't use your disorder or whatever. People tell you your trauma to stay stuck. So it's along the lines of that, which I think is really cool.
In
It's true.
fact, yeah, I mean, according to this source that I'm citing, the word trauma is severely abused.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
word toxic
exactly.
is severely abused. Any discomfort, people call it trauma. People call it toxic now, even though for 200,000 years, that's just been part of life.
Yeah, I've been recently guilty of that, with my parents. Sure you guys have heard it on record too. And it took my dad dying for me to realize that
How's your mom these days?
she's good. She still won't see the cutout. I wanted to bring the cutout. Oh, I hosted a Christmas at my Christmas Eve at my house. I even bought like a brand new table for it. And so I had some jambalaya pasta catered. Oh my God, it was so good. And then I was like very disappointed because it said that it would feed between 10 to 12 people. And like Filipino, they feed a lot of people, right? There's usually too much to where a lot of people can take stuff home. So I was excited because there was only 7 of us. So I was like, ooh, 10 to 12, that's awesome. We could all have big plates. We can all maybe take a plate home. Yeah, no. 10 to 12. I was so disappointed. I almost asked the manager, like, are you sure this is it? You know, um, and then we had leftover lobster mac and cheese from Costco. And Costco, big portions and stuff. In fact, I was actually disappointed myself that I didn't go to Costco first because they had the bomb lobster mac and cheese. And so my kids didn't even eat half of it. So I decided to heat that up too, along with that. So we had that, we had salad. I made this beautiful charcuterie board. Um, we had butter cake for dessert. And I told I bought some wine. I told people like, yeah, don't bring anything. It's okay. I'll take care of everything. So I took care of everything. It was really nice. My mom cried a little bit because she missed my dad. The dogs were happy because everybody was here. We were watching a little bit of Dave Chappelle and we were just talking a little bit, but I wanted to bring that life-size cutout of my dad that we got for his funeral,
Hmm.
because my brother thought it would be a good idea, and all of his friends were like, "Yeah!" So I paid for that, and it's still sitting in my closet. But every time I open the closet, I'm like, "Hi, Dad!" There
Mhm.
he is, smiling at me with his cutout. But my mom still is really hard for her. The thing that I worry about her is her finances, because my dad took care of all of the finances, and although she has plenty of money, she's just not really good as far as balancing it. In fact, my sister's not very good either. I'm decent at balancing things. I just make the wrong choices. But I have a really good system to keep me in check, which is why my credit's actually really good. Um, and so that's the only thing, is my sister has the time and the motivation to help my mom, but a part of me is like, I don't know, you don't do a good job. So there's another thing I have to work on, is you know, letting people do things and not, you know, overextending myself because I know I'll do a better job at it.
And I found you got to let people make mistakes as long as they're not too big mistakes. You step in when it becomes too big a problem.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I realize it's my problem, like I actually have all of my bills broken out, even my credit cards, like by how much the APR is,
Mhm.
how like the interest rate is. I have it all broken down. I've got formulas and stuff like that. I've got a method, you know. I could see how much I can afford a month versus how much I owe, all that stuff. How much compounds. Um, so anyways, my sister doesn't know any of that stuff. That I'm trying to tell her. Like, it's not just the monthly payment, dude. It's the interest rate.
Yep.
Mm.
So if anyone wants to buy me a ticket to Disneyland, I'd be grateful. I'm itching to go there. But I just took Damien on a shopping spree. So I think that's most of my Disneyland money. Oh, shoot. I have to get a white elephant gift. I want to get a white elephant gift.
You could look in the closet for one,
I know.
or in Maxwell's closet.
Yeah.
Hmm. The next time we get together, it'll be 2026 already.
Yep.
It just felt like 2025 just started. Man, this whole year went by really, really fast for me.
Mhm.
Hmm. I'm gonna go try some oolong tea later.
I like green tea and chamomile tea.
I just had 2 cups of coffee, considering a third, but
Yeah, that's what I normally do. I usually have one cup first, the donut shop coffee, and the second cup, I always have a mushroom coffee.
Well,
ooh, had mushroom coffee.
Again, supposedly with mutual health benefits, health and brain benefits. I don't think brain-wise it's really helping, but
Depends what kind of mushroom.
the kind they put in coffee, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, we needed a laugh.
Yeah, I haven't even had my coffee yet today. But I think I managed 7 hours of sleep last night. Slower than usual.
Wow. You're getting all kinds of sleep, Sam. What's going on?
I think I'm getting old. Part of it is when it's raining, I don't take the dogs out walking as much. That's not good.
I'm so jealous. I have to take my dogs out every day.
Well, it's because I'm lazy. You're not as lazy.
Well, the other day I did not take the dogs out because I knew it was going to rain, and I was lazy. But it didn't rain in the morning. There's plenty of time to take them out on a walk, and I didn't. And so while I was using the bathroom, Rocky tore up. He got into the what is it? The
Garbage?
ornaments, the
Oh,
crystal, the Christmas tree ornaments. He got into that, bit through some of them. He got into the wrapping paper, bit through some of that. He looked all he looked all happy with his destruction. Like, yeah, that's what you get. I'm gonna make you clean up. I'm gonna force you to not be lazy. Such a bad dog.
well, I don't have a
So,
tree, but
how could you not have a tree? I don't
but these
understand
guys,
people who are not festive.
I grew up in Taiwan. Christmas is not a thing in Taiwan, so I never actually got that. I did that
Yeah,
when my kids were at home. We did the tree thing, but on my own, I haven't been doing that.
all you have to do, you have all that space, Sam. All you have to do is get like um a fake tree,
It
and
doesn't
then
smell the same though, right?
yeah, but after a while you get accustomed to the smell, and then you just don't smell it. You know, the smell is for you for like a day or two, but for the most part, it's for like your guests when they come over, right? And then even after like an hour, they forget about it. You have to water it, and then it goes to waste. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I guess in Washington it wouldn't go to waste because you guys got lots of trees over there.
Yeah.
But I leave my fake tree up for like months. The last time I took it down, well, last year when I took it down, it was already February.
It's been
I,
May for me sometimes.
I actually have two fake trees, one in the kitchen and then one in the living room.
Did you put the reindeer hats on your dogs?
No, they'll like Rocky will try to tear it up. I
Yeah.
can't put Rocky will I try to put like a Halloween costume and he gets all pissed off. He tries to like rip it off. And then he clips looks like I'm punishing her. Her head hangs down. She looks at me all sad, like I've shackled her. So
Goldens are surprisingly okay with those.
it's because Goldens are real dogs. I swear now. I feel like my Huskies are like part wild or something.
You just have to have them, tow you around on a sleigh.
Oh yeah. I need six of those then. How's your neighbor doing?
My
Your
neighbor?
the guy who moved into your house
Oh,
across the street.
he's moved a boat there. He's moved a huge trailer there. He's got 2 pickups. So I got to talk to him about not using my property as a storage unit for vehicles.
Oh
I'm gonna
shit.
go. I'm gonna see him today at 2 o'clock. At 12 o'clock.
Was that in your original? No wonder he wanted your place.
I'm gonna charge him for the boat and the trailer if he really keeps that up. The rental agreement says it must be used as a just normally just a place of residence and nothing for business. So that's what the rental agreement says. Anyway, we'll iron that stuff out, you know. But he's paid in advance for 3 months, so I've got some time to deal with this. We have to iron a few other things out.
Yeah.
And then I have to work about renting this place. That's my next focus. All this takes time.
Yep.
Ah,
Well,
geez, it's already 10 o'clock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good talking
Okay.
to you guys.
All right, guys. I think like we were on some pretty good topics. We sort of were wondering
Bouncing
what to
around.
talk about for a while.
Yeah.
I sometimes do wonder whether I should bring up new topics or whether we should just taper down. So I haven't quite got a good feel for that yet. But hopefully we'll see you guys next weekend.
Sounds good.
Take it easy.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow, Sam.
All right. Tell me what time and give me the logistics.
Shoot.
Okay.
Hold on. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, good. My stupid thing keeps. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
I don't think I have a time from you yet. Do you want to set up your Zoom or do you want me to set up my Zoom or what?
Oh yeah, didn't we say 8?
Oh, maybe we did. Maybe I forgot. Okay, 8 o'clock. Do you want to use my Zoom or do you have a Zoom? Do you want me to set it up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And it's only because I only have 45 minutes on mine, or 40, right?
Yeah, no problem. I'll set it up. It's easy. I'm a
Okay,
subscriber.
cool.
Okay. All right.
Yay.
8 o'clock.
Yeah, I have, by the way, I'm gonna be referencing. I hope you're okay with it. I'm gonna be referencing a 990. Should I
Referencing
give
what?
that to you? Like
What?
the 990 documents? Should I give
I
that to you?
I don't have those. Yeah.
No, I said I'm going to be referencing it and I should give it to you. Or should I? I'm asking if you want me to give it to you.
If you want me to do homework, then yes. If you don't expect me to do homework, then no. But it's up to you.
Do you want to do homework? That's the question.
I'll peruse it briefly.
You could say no.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'll glance through it to get a sense of what is there.
Okay. Well, I can give you what I think. If anything, like I'll email you and I'll tell you what I think you might need to look at if you had wanted to. So that way it's not like you're looking at the whole thing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make it painless. I'm trying to simplify the presentation.
Right. And you said you wanted to do a 45-minute presentation, right?
Well, ideally it's supposed to be they gave me 45 minutes, but they said that the presentation itself should be, I think, 10 to 20 or 15 to 20, and then it's like a Q&A.
Okay.
So I actually have to do 2 presentations. So I think if anything, she might actually just be giving me more time, or giving the candidates more time, just in case um, they go over.
Okay. All
So
right. And when is the
yay.
actual presentation to the organization?
I'll find out tomorrow when the
Okay.
presentation actually is. So I have some, well, the thing is I have to give her my material tomorrow or by the 31st. But I'll ask her if I could revise my material, you know.
They're not going to say
So,
no.
yeah, I don't think they're going to say no to, because they gave me the first 2 weeks of January,
Right.
they allotted for time those
Yeah.
first 2 weeks.
Besides, they
So
haven't even
I
hired you
gave
yet.
them
They're
all
not
of my
even paying
availability.
you, so you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like I'm
Okay.
overthinking it though. I don't know. I guess that's why I'm asking a few people to listen to me.
No problem. Okay,
Okay.
you're on.
All right, Sam. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.